Welcome to the Emotional Balance Sheet, the financial planning podcast for parents who are senior level professionals with kids in school or college. If you're tired of stitching together 4 different specialists to run your financial life, you're in the right place. I'm Paul Fenner, certified financial planner, enrolled agent, and founder of Tama Capital. I also have 4 kids, including a set of triplets, so I know the pace. Let's get into today's conversation.
Hi, and welcome back. I want to start this week with 2 questions. The first is, what have you experienced that I haven't that makes you believe what you do? And second, would I think about the world like you if I experience what you have? I think disagreements have less to do with what people know and more to do with what they've experienced. That last point and these 2 questions are something I read recently from Morgan Housel that I've been turning over for the past week. Most of the time when I sit with this thought or quote, people apply it to political arguments or disagreements with each other. But today I want to do something different. I want to apply it somewhere inside of you. Between the version of you who set up your financial life and the version of you sitting here today. Because I think many senior professionals are putting their money into savings or settings, I should say, they've configured for a person who doesn't really exist anymore. So let me tell you a story. I've been working with family. I'll call the spouse Anna. Obviously, I've changed her name. She's a senior director at a healthcare system. They have 3 kids, ages 9, 12, and 16. Her husband is a senior engineer at an automotive supplier. They have very strong, high incomes. So by any external measure, they're doing great. But when we started working together last year, here's what I found. Her retirement contributions were set to 8% of her salary. That number was set 11 years ago when she was making about a third of what she is today. She's had 3 promotions since then and never changed her contribution rate. Obviously, the dollar amount went up because her salary did. But that percentage, it was for a completely different person. The family's cash reserves were sitting at around 6 months of expenses. And that number was set when they had a single income household for 9 months between when Anna had her first daughter and her second son. They've been dual income now for 9 years. Same target, never revisited. Anna's brokerage account was in an aggressive growth allocation. That number was set when she was 34. And that was before her dad was diagnosed with early dementia. And she became the financial coordinator for both of her parents on top of her own family. She's now 45 with substantial caregiving obligations. Same allocation, never revisited. None of these settings was wrong when she made them. Every one of them was right for that version of Anna who made them. The problem is that version of Anna does not exist anymore. She's been replaced 3 or 4 times by life events, by life transitions that we talk about all the time. But her money is still working for the original Anna. And this is the place where Morgan's quote and point really got to me. I grew up in one house. My parents still live in it. I'm now 50. The first 22 years of my life, I was rooted. Then I started my corporate career and lived in 5 different states over a 13-year period. 10 moves. And then Teresa and I landed in Commerce Township. We've been here for 15 years and counting. So 3 distinct chapters, 3 different sets of beliefs about what roots are worth. At 30, I believe roots were a luxury you couldn't afford if you wanted a career like I did. I kept things liquid. I didn't get attached to a neighborhood or a friend group because, hell, I knew I was going to be moving again in 18 months or less. That was the right advice for a rootless career. But now that I'm 50, I believe roots are the entire point. Over the last 15 years here, neighbors become family. Parents I see every week at our kids' sporting events have become family. Parents I know through school became family. It happened slowly and then all at once. And I didn't plan for it. I could have never predicted that at age 30. And the same thing has happened at Tama. Clients become friends, friends become family. That makes it emotionally harder when someone moves away or decides to go in a different direction. But I would rather be connected like that, so close, than to be somebody's, quote, financial advisor and nothing more. Same person doing the work, but different beliefs about what the work is. Different experiences that built it. And yet, the 30-year-old Paul instincts still fire away. I'll notice myself hedging on something, holding back on a longer-term commitment, or treating a decision as more reversible than it actually is. That's the voice inside my head making those calls that still lived in 5 different states. I earned those opinions. However, I'm no longer that version of me running my life. And here's what I see in family after family at the level you're working at. You set up a financial life early, maybe in your late 20s, maybe early 30s. You picked a savings rate, an investment allocation, an emergency fund target, a way of thinking about debt. And here's the big key, a way of talking to your spouse about money. Those were beliefs you formed based on what you lived so far. But then life happened. You got promoted. You have kids. In my case, you had a lot of kids. Then another. Maybe one of your parents got sick. Maybe you switched industries. Maybe you switched careers. Maybe your spouse went back to work after being out for a while. Maybe you became the highest earner in your extended family without anyone noticing. Each of these experiences should have updated the financial beliefs you formed earlier in your life. Most of them didn't, though. Not because you weren't paying attention, because no one told you the previous settings were for a different person. And this is where I come back to Morgan's 2 questions. They're the diagnostic. What have you experienced since you set these defaults that should have changed your beliefs? And would the 32-year-old you, sitting across from you today, recognize the life you're actually living? So here's what you can try this week. Probably takes about 10 minutes. You could do it in the carpool line, standing in your kitchen. But pick one financial habit you've held for more than 5 years. It could be your savings rate, your reserve target, your insurance coverage, the way you and your spouse split cost, or the amount that you give your kids. Just pick one. And then ask 3 questions. 1, when did I form this? 2, what was true about my life then? And 3, has anything happened since then that should have changed that belief? And if the answer to that 3rd question is yes, and you actually haven't changed that habit yet, that's your update. Most senior professionals I work with find at least 2 of these in a quick check. Not because anything's broken, because life moved and the settings didn't. So if this something here landed for you, send it to the same person you may know that's in the same season of life. That's the best thing that you can do for myself, the show, and for them. And you'll probably feel better about yourself as well. And always remember, money is a number, enough is a story. Make sure you're writing your own. That's all for this week. We'll see you next time. Now for the fine print. This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not personalized financial, tax, or legal advice. Before making any decisions about your specific situation, please work with a qualified professional. Tama Capital is a registered investment advisor.